finally succeeding in drawing the fifth tooth. Pakir believes that he could reach the level he was at as long as his mana could support it. Smiling happily, he notes that his mana capacity had increased and reached another level, a red liquid. Aura covers his hand, showing signs of a graduator. The MC had gone from a high-class sword expert to a low-class graduator, a point that had taken him 30 years to reach. But he reached it at 8 years old. Now graduators are on a whole different level compared to sword experts, as their aura turns from solid to liquid density increases and allows for it to be used more freely. Knowing his swordsmanship was better now, and that he could reach the 10th technique meant endless possibilities. Piercing Farm was what he learned before, which was able to make him stronger in a short period of time, but had limitations. However, the Lurking Ambush was the perfect sword technique that could transition between offense and defense with no growth limitations. The Q places the book near the window, thinking that he could challenge a mid-class graduator and has a 100 chance of assassination, and about 50 if they faced head-on. The only problem he had now was how much to show Hugo. He couldn't show too much or too little of his strength. As he takes out an object from his pocket, he places it in front of the book using the sunlight to make a small fire on the book itself. The MC grins to himself at what he just did. The book is set aflame as he makes it impossible for other to reach the 10th technique, and that he was the only one that knew how this time. The Guardian Knights appear behind him, asking what the smell was. They questioned Vakir, and he replied that he accidentally left the magnifying glass around and burnt the book. The guards are relieved to hear that only a useless book was damaged. The Q asks the guards if they should bother with such a small thing. Since there were bigger problems to handle, the guards agree to keep it a secret. If the MC agrees, the Q agrees and proceeds to leave. The guards are happy and think of him as a nice person, deserving their respect as he walks away with a smile. The Q appears before Hugo and Barrymore. Once again, Hugo asks if he had reached enlightenment. He replies, sort of. Hugo asks what he had learned, and the cure mentions that he felt something warm and sharp, yet soft and viscous. Both Barrymore and Hugo are alarmed at hearing this. Barrymore wonders if it was an aura. Aura was something that only 15-year-olds could obtain. After years of training, Hugo thinks to himself about why he was getting excited for over an 8-year-old and asks for Cure to show him. He accepts happily. An arena is showcased. Many young masters are confused as Vakir is seen standing with a sword. Barrymore asks Hugo how he intends to test his skills. Hugo replies that a monster will be released. The gate opens and the huge orc egg sits with chains all over its body. It growls loudly with menacing red eyes. Other young masters in the stand are shocked to see it as they wonder if an 8-year-old could take on an orc by himself. Vikia and the orc are standing face to face. Hugo waves his hand, signaling to the knight to remove the orc's chains. It screams out powerfully and rushes towards the Q. Kier takes a prepared stance as it comes towards him with a calm expression. He slices the orc's arm off with a single swing. Everyone was shocked at what happened. The orc is stunned at its wound. The MC wastes no time and dashes low to swing at its leg. He slices it off in one strike again, causing the orc to fall to the ground. The orc remains confused at what happened to it. Vakir looks back thinking that the orc was confused about why it was bleeding for the first time and that its regenerative skill won't activate. It was due to the skill of the Bloodhound. It overpowered the orcs. Ability people in the stands are wondering how he was that strong. Hugo stares, thinking deeply. Vakar looks at him, knowing he was trying to determine what he learned in the library, and proceeds to show him what he wants. Hugo and Barrymore looked alarmed. The Q had revealed Aura Blade as his sword is covered in a strong red aura. The orc tries to get up, but sense is a red presence approaching it. S head was smashed to bits as the MC slashes through it like butter with a quick dash, and his sword was covered in the aura. Hugo is shocked from his seat, from seeing that red aura from the Q. Barrymore congratulates Hugo on witnessing the birth of a genius, making Hugo wonder if that was it. Barrymore further states he had not seen this kind of talent from the other families. Hugo stops him, noting that something was wrong with the orc, seeing its blood not stopping, even though orcs were famous for its regeneration. He pushes the MC victory as a result of the orc being weakened, while Barrymore wonders why he can't express his happiness, calls out to his father, and asks if there was anything stronger with a smile on his face. Surprising Hugo, he tells his father to wait, asking with a smile if there was anything stronger than an orc. This shocks the crowd. He thinks that it would be better to show off his power to a certain degree, hoping that his progress will allow him to be separated from Hugo. Hugo agrees with the MC and asks for a creature that they captured from the barbarian raid to be released. The beast was starving. Since then the crowd is shocked once again, but the MC looks happy. A troll was his new opponent. It growls at him. The MC asks Hugo if he could start right away. Hugo says he may. He rushes to the troll. The troll attacks the MC with a mighty punch. He dodges and is annoyed and decides to back away from the troll. The crowd is confused by his actions, as it was the perfect moment to attack. Hugo agrees with his actions and that it was the right move due to the troll's Reagan powers. The MC continues to dodge its attacks. The troll begins to breathe heavy. The crowd calls the MC a genius at 8 years old, and that his plan was to tire the troll out first. The MC thinks that it's too slow and that he needed to act, but is unable to unleash his full power as it would make it troublesome for him. Instead, he decides to use the troll's power against itself as he slices its arm. The troll falls to the ground holding its bleeding shoulder. The crowd praises the cure for what he has done. The MC thinks that the first technique was not enough to slice the troll-fix's skin. Hugo asks him to stop as it could become dangerous, but the MC tells him he was almost done. He realized that he was getting an epiphany, and that he'll give up if he can't kill it in the next attack. The troll growls in anger. He releases his red aura, preparing for an attack. The troll yells at him as he stood still, but it realizes something from him. A deadly Auron image was seen as from the MC in the next moment. The troll was sliced in half by the MC as he unleashed the Hound's aura. Everyone is stunned at what happened. Even the MC was shocked at what he just did. He laughs, saying he did it. Hugo and everyone in the arena could not believe what they just saw. The MC is upset over the food. He turns to look around, realizing that everyone has been avoiding him since the day of the arena battle. But he was happy to see Hugo's stunned face, and that he had only shown a small part of his power to them, but was actually more powerful. He had also gained the super speed regeneration skill from the troll. He thinks about the fact that he has been eating more with Beelzebub as the triplets appear behind him. He readies himself. The MC asks the triplets if last time was not enough, but they claim it was. What he was thinking, they wanted to tell him he was cool when he defeated the monsters, causing the MC to spit out his food. The triplets asked if he was okay, as the MC thinks it was some sort of scheme, just as he was feeling goosebumps at what they said. Butler Barrymore appears, telling him he needs to go to the Patriarch room back at the mansion of the Baskerville family. Hugo was seen chatting with Humor, Clan Patriarch Adolf Mork. They talk about the annual training event between the families, hoping no accidents would happen. Hugo tells Adolf that it was just a scratch, and that the mortgage children were dramatic. Adolf said it was because they were noble and dignified. The Ryan Mage clan, the Morgs, and the Iron-Blooded Sword. Clan the Baskervilles, they were not always on bad terms. The Emperor said that magic and swords were a pair because of those words. The two families would have annual joint trainings as a sign of good faith between them. However, a ruby mine between the two families' land was discovered, causing a problem of who owns it. Adolf asks if there was a supernova in the Baskerville family that was born with great blessings and skill, and Hugo brushes it off, saying it's not a big deal. Adolf is surprised to see Hugo reacting to a compliment of a child. He then tells him that the Morgue family also had a genius. He calls for Camus to come in. The doors open, and a little girl walks in. Hugo looks at her. Adolf introduces her as his sister's Respine's daughter, Camus. He tells her to greet Hugo, but she remains silent instead of greeting. She calls him a thief that stole the ruby mine, and that he should give it back. Hugo was angry to hear the word thief. Adolf is surprised at her words, and she told him that it was what he said in the carriage and that the annoying Chinbeard stole the ruby mine. The words annoying Chinbeard further annoys Hugo. Adolf says it was a misunderstanding, and Hugo agrees, saying she was just a child. But Camus shouts at Hugo to give back the rubies as she doesn't have enough to do research enough, Hugo says as he holds back his anger. Adolf holds Camus tightly, asking what Hugo plans to do to the child, as Hugo states that the Morgues didn't teach manners at all. Adolf asks if he was threatening an 8-year-old girl. I guess the morgues didn't teach their children to not envy what is others said by the MC as he enters the room. Adolf wonders if Fakir was the supernova and realizes that Camus was missing. Camus appears in front of the MC, asking what he just said. The MC hears her name and recalls her as the morgue's clan, Iron-Blooded Empress Camelmork. She was known as the Genius. Among the genius, even in the Moor clan that raised countless mages at her peach, she killed all monsters and barbarians in the Lone War Mountain by herself, burning them to death on spears, creating her legend. The MC also remembered that her beauty was captivating. Camus yells in him, saying that the ruby mines were hers and not his. You sure came a long way just to throw a tantrum. The MC replies the leaders notice something. Flames erupt from Camus due to the word tantrum. She tells him that he'll explain why the ruby mines belong to her so that a stupid dog could understand. The MC simply smiles, saying that would be fun. A replica of ice is made. Everyone in the room was surprised by this. Camusa's, she'll explain it. The MC was upset as he expected them to fight. She explains that the ruby mine was located in the area between the Morgan Baskerville called Joint Security Area, and that the problem was that the entrance was located in the morgue area, but the mine runs underneath the Baskerville area. Adolf was happy, while Hugo became upset due to the explanation the MC adds on saying that the Baskerville doesn't need to mine the rubies as they were meant for magic ingredients, but he calls her an idiot as no one would allow someone to enter their lands based on a few pennies. Hearing this made Camo angry. She points to the sculpture, pointing to which side belongs to each family. She moves her arm across both areas, asking whose arm is this? Then the MC repeats her question back to her and grabs her arm. He grabs the knife, shocking Adolf and Barrymore. He smiles while showing the knife, saying that only her arm belongs to him. Both Hugo and Camus were shocked at what he said. The MC holds her arm high, ready to cut it with the knife. Camus tears up and screams for her uncle to help. Adolf appears behind the MC in an angry state, telling him to get away from his niece. Now, he lets go of her arm, allowing her to run to her uncle and hug him. Adolf yells at Hugo, saying, "What the hell is this matter?" Hugo remains silent and turns to Fakir. He tells him that he has gone too far with his joke. The MC apologizes, saying it was a common joke in the family, and that the knife was fake. Adolf was shocked to see that twin Ives were given to children. The MC bows down to him, saying he was sorry. Hugo tells Adolf that he was getting too involved in the children's play, and that he had some ideas regarding to the ruby mines that he should hear.